Hello and welcome to this Oak Tree English video on how to write a P paragraph. Subtitle: How to P on your exam paper. Yes, in this video I will teach you how to P. For this reason I have a yellow glow around me. I give fair warning that this video may include some toilet humour. But what is a P paragraph, I hear you cry? Well, I'm glad you asked. P stands for point, evidence, and explanation. We'll go through each of these in detail. Your paragraph should include all of these elements. For a 10-mark question, you should aim to write 3 to 4 of these P paragraphs about different sections of the text you have been set. But every single P paragraph should include these 3 elements: point, evidence, and explanation. Let's start off with the point. The first sentence of any paragraph should be a topic sentence. This is where you lay out your plan for the rest of the paragraph. It's also where you pinpoint your answer in the text, point out your insight, and point to the question. You can then support your point with evidence. This does not mean fingerprints, although that is the image I've got over there. In an exam situation, this means selecting quotes from your text. Your quotes should be short. This can be just a few words or a phrase which illustrate your point. Then there's 2 things to make sure of. Make sure they relate to your point. There's no point in putting a quote which is about something completely unrelated to what your main point is, what you're trying to say. And of course, make sure they relate to the question. You must be trying to answer the question at every stage. If you're not trying to answer the question, then there's no point in writing it. When you've supported your point with this evidence, you can then go on to explain the connection. So your final E is your explanation. And what things do you explain in your explanation? I hear you cry. Well, I don't, because this is a video and I can't actually hear you, but I just imagine you are crying that, and therefore I'm going to explain. You can explain that you can explain the quote that you are using. You can explain the technique that this quote displays. This is things like metaphor, simile, alliteration, rhyme, all these sorts of things. And you can also explain the effect that this quote has on the reader. And that's how you write a P paragraph. Would you like to see that in action? Of course you would. And therefore, I've got some worked examples. So the next 3 slides are related to examples from questions 3, 4 and 5 of section A of component 1 of the Eduqas English Language GCSE paper. That was a mouthful. But the text I'm going to relate it to is The Owl and the Pussycat by Edward Lear, because I think it's one that you're probably familiar with, and if you're not, then you jolly well should be, because it's awesome. And just to illustrate how awesome it is, I'm going to read it for you. And in true Oak Tree English style, I'm also going to let you read along with me. The Owl and the Pussycat by Edward Lear. The owl and the pussycat went to sea in a beautiful pea-green boat. They took some honey and plenty of money wrapped up in a £5 note. The owl looked up to the stars above and sang to a small guitar. Oh, lovely pussy, oh, pussy, my love, what a beautiful pussy you are. You are, what a beautiful pussy you are. Pussy said to the owl, "You elegant fowl, how charmingly sweet you sing. Oh, let us be married, too long we have tarried. But what shall we do for a ring?" They sailed away for a year and a day to the land where the bong tree grows, And there in a wood a piggy-wig stood, with a ring at the end of his nose. His nose, with a ring at the end of his nose. "Dear pig, are you willing to sell for 1 shilling your ring?" said the piggy. "I will." So they took it away and were married next day by the turkey who lives on the hill. And they dined on mince and slices of quince, which they ate with a runcible spoon, and hand in hand on the edge of the sand they danced by the light of the moon. The moon, they danced by the light of the moon. Now that you've got that freshly in your mind, let's have a look at some of these questions. So question 3 in component 1, section A, is the how does the writer show, and it's things like thoughts and feelings or emotions or whatever. Now you should try and aim to look at use a range of vocabulary. I'll show that more in the next section, but here's a suggestion, just relating it to the first verse. So we've got in the first part of the text, that is something that pinpoints the place in the text that you're talking about. The writer shows the owl's thought, and that shows that points to the question. So the question is, how does the writer show? The answer is, the writer shows the owl's thoughts. Notice that lovely apostrophe, possessive apostrophe as well. Through the planning of their sea voyage provisions. Here we're pointing out some insight. It's not mentioned explicitly in the text, but obviously some planning went into taking some honey and plenty of money. Speaking of some honey and plenty of money, there's a quote for you. Notice it's short, it's not the whole line, but it shows sea voyage provisions. Now his emotions are displayed, once again directing that to the question. In his impassioned song, once again this is the insight. Indicated by speech marks, there's a technique for you. There's a technique for you. And culminating in, "What a beautiful pussy you are." And if some of you are now sniggering, then you need to be you need to grow up and possibly clear your internet browsing history. This use of emotive language, another technique there, gives the reader an insight into the romantic inclination of the owl. This is the effect of that emotive language. This is an example of a P paragraph. Would you like to see another? Well, okay then. Here's one that replicates question 4. So question 4 is the how does the writer create? It's often something like drama or tension or mystery or something like that. So here's something that does that. Now remember I said you should be using a wide range of vocabulary. So there's lots of different ways you can say the same thing. Remember, English has more words than any other language in the world. Therefore, use them. In the second, or possibly the penultimate verse or section or passage, and you see you can use all these different terms at different points in your answer using a range of vocabulary. This is, of course, the pinpoint in the text section. The writer, or the author, or the poet, or the creator, the writer makes or creates or forges a sense of drama or excitement or theatricality, and mystery or intrigue or puzzlement. So this section, it points to the question. It directly answers the question. Notice that it directly answers the question. It's the point. Using the rhyming couplet, ooh, I've got a little bit of a technique going on there. They sailed away for a year and a day, which is of course a quote. Notice it's a short quote. This indicates, what does this indicate, Tim? This indicates a long adventure. A long adventure. This point again, This time explains the quote. Including a high degree of perseverance, but the lack of detail creates an air of mystery. Notice the air of mystery there is relating back to the question. The point, you're pointing out the insight, including a high degree of perseverance. That's insight, using your own insight. The juxtaposition, we've got another nice little technique going on there, of this and the prior proposal of the cat to the owl with the words, sorry, that one's pinpointing in the text, "Oh, let us be married," once more, a short quote, adds to the drama, directly related to the question, particularly when they alight on, that is, of course, the insight, the land where the bong tree grows, which is, of course, a short quote. Notice we've got about three quotes in there. Does that help? No? You want to see another one? Maybe without all the extra possibilities at the beginning? Since it's you, just for you, I'm going to do it. Okay, here it comes. So this one relates to question 5. And question 5 is the one where you, how far do you agree with a statement question? So I've got the owl and the pussycat's relationship relied on other people as the quote. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Well, let's see what the writer of this particular answer thought. It was me, by the way. I wrote this answer. In the final verse, we're pinpointing our place in the text. The marriage is supported and enabled by, that relates directly to the question, Piggy, the piggy, notice that is a short quote. It's only one word, but it's a quote. Notice it's between speech marks there. Who gave up his ring, this is of course an insight, and the turkey who lives on the hill, another quote. If I were answering, notice the first person here, if I were answering. In question 5, you're allowed to use first person. That is, you're allowed to say, oh, that's exciting. You're allowed to say that your own opinion. What do you think? You can't do this in normal academic work. You can't normally use I and we, first person, but you can in this question. If I were answering purely from that verse, which is of course relating it to straight back to the, you're pinpointing the part of the text, I would agree with the statement to a greater degree. Goes back to the question. However, in the majority of the poem, now we're pinpointing in the text again, the lovers were on their own in a boat for an extended period of time. This is where you're explaining the quote. The quote, of course, is a year and a day, which leads me to disagree with the statement. This would better be, should really be in green, because this is insight. This is your answer, but it does relate directly back to the question. It actually answers the question directly. The final image is created is a couple dancing together. Okay, hand in hand. For some reason, I've put the final image created is the couple dancing together. First I put it out as insight, and then another thing came over it of being pinpointing in the text. But actually, that was a happy accident. I didn't intend that, but that's right. Of course, the final image, that's pinpointing in the text. The couple dancing together, that's insight. And hand in hand is, of course, a short quote. Notice again, we've got about 4 short quotes in there. These paragraphs probably take you somewhere around a minute to write. 3 minutes to write. This is not something that is going to destroy your life. It's something that's going to add to your life. So that is the end of this this short video on how to write a P paragraph. I'd like to thank you for watching and listening. I hope this helps you towards achieving your goals. Now I've got a challenge for you. Your challenge is to like and subscribe before I get flushed down the toilet like some old pee. Are you ready? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ah! Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Thanks for watching.